so happy to see all the smiling faces of the children who we just saw a couple hours ago. And their parents are now with them. So parents, I hope you enjoyed your experience of going through a lunch line, which your child does every single day. So if you need any help, just ask them, they'll tell you what to do. We have a new member here at Reserve. We have Ms. Lori Lentz. She has taken over for Ms. Kim Parhart, who went over to Marzoff full-time. So we are excited to have Mrs. Lentz. She also worked at the middle school for the past couple of years, and now she is with us at Reserve. So if you've heard the name Mrs. Lentz, this is who she is. And tonight, you all have a packet. So kids, you and your parents are going to be working through a packet, learning some activities that you can do at home between now and the end of the year, and then over the summer. And this is our official spring parent training. And Miss Joyce Kiss and Lori Lentz are going to be working us through this. So thank you for coming, and keep eating your food.
Welcome, and we are so excited to have so many great kids and parents here tonight. As we begin, let's just take a brief glance at the agenda, because we're going to start with the Ranger Rick articles and lessons. So if you are a first grade student, you would have Ranger Rick Jr. right here. If you are a second or third grade student, you would have the Ranger Rick series right there. So what I tried to do as I was planning these lessons was to make sure that I pulled some articles from the Ranger Rick Jr. and the Ranger Rick article. And I have some special friends who are going to come up here tonight and help me out. They gave me their word that they wouldn't be shy to come up and give me a hand. So I'll let you know when I need you. We're going to start with the Shake, Spill, and Say lesson, which looks just like this. So if you have it in your packet, these lessons are stapled together and they're all in white. With the Shake, Spill, and Say lesson, With the Shake, Spill, and Say lesson, the articles that I chose were the following. If you are in the Ranger Rick Jr., that would be if you're a first grader, the article is called Lucky Clover, and it is on page 30. So if you want to look at that while you're looking at the lesson, that would be great. If you are a first grader, check it out. Page 30. If you are a second or third grader, I chose an article from just the Ranger Rick series, and it's called Animals at Play. And you're going to turn to page 8 and 9. Turn to page 8 and 9, so check it out. With this particular lesson, the Shake, Spill, and Say, the goal for this lesson is that your child will read words with accuracy, which means read them correctly, and with fluency, which means read them at a rate that will help them eventually understand and comprehend what they're reading. Okay, so the skill is really word reading fluency with this particular lesson. And again, the goal is that your child will read given words with accuracy and fluency. The materials that you would need for this type of lesson would really be any text that your child can read. And from that text, you would choose 10 words from that text, and you would write them on word cards or any type of paper that you have lying around. So 10 words on word cards from an article, and you might be asking yourself, well, what words should my child be able to read? What shouldn't they be able to read? It's different for each child as far as the skills and what they've mastered as they become a reader. So something to be thinking about is if you have a first grade child, you want to be thinking about pulling words that are one-syllable words. If you have a second or third grade child, you could start with 2- and 3-syllable words that you find within your text. But if they have difficulty with that, just bump it down to something a little easier, maybe 1-syllable words. Okay, so those are the types of words that I chose within the text for this lesson. Something that you can think, again, is the text at your child's instructional level? And what this is going to mean is if your child is reading an article and they're reading the first 10 words in the article, they should only make about one mistake within those first 10 words. And you know that that article should be something that your child should be able to read and read comfortably with your help, okay? So the other thing you want to think about with this is you've got your 10 word cards, plus you have a little container to put those word cards in. It can be a paper bag, it can be a plastic bag, it can really be anything you have. It can be a cardboard box, whatever you have lying around the house that your child can pick up, hold, and dump the words out, because that's eventually what they're going to be able to do. So the words that I chose from these articles, again, if you're looking in Ranger Rick Jr., the Lucky Clover article, the words that I chose are the words can, look, make, sky, out, your, luck, hear, chirp, and to. And these are all words that are one-syllable words that a child in first grade would probably be comfortable with reading at this point. And they came straight from the article. The words that I chose from Animals at Play, if you're looking at just the Ranger Rick, pages 8 and 9, you're going to see mammals, invite, reasons, closer, playful, youngsters, jumping, every, open, and pose. Those are the words within those articles. So what you're really trying to do with this is to get your child comfortable with reading some of the target words from the article before they actually go in and read the article itself, and they can be really comfortable with that. So take a look at the steps for Shake, Spill, and Say, and like I said, I'm going to have some folks come up here, some students that I know to come and model for me in a moment. Okay, so when you model this lesson with your child, because you always want to make sure your child understands the task that they're about to complete, you're going to say to your child, I'm going to shake these words out and spill them on the table. Listen and watch while I read the words that land face up on the table. So you would have your words in your container, you're going to shake them up, spill them out, and some should land face up, some should land face down. Really didn't work out so well for me that time. I'll probably find a different container. So I would say, okay, these words landed facing up. The words are make, look, and chirp. At that point, you have modeled it for your child. They should understand at this point what to do. So you're to the point, it's quick. You're going to go to the practice it level, and you're going to walk your child through each of those steps. So Taylin and Logan, I know you might still be eating, but if you could come and join me up here, that would be great. Come on up, don't be shy. Okay, awesome. So Taylin is in second grade, and Logan is in first grade, so they do have different words in their containers that came from the different articles. This is yours, and how about we do it up here? This is yours, how about you shake it so loud? Okay, all right, so Logan and Taylin, shake the container and spell out the words. So I'm kind of fanning these out for Logan because they didn't all. But some of them landed face up, some of them landed face down. And oh goodness, Taylin, you have a lot to do. All of her words landed face up, so she's so lucky tonight. Okay, read only the words that land face up on the table. So Logan, you want to give it a shot first? You can practice if you want to. Your first word. What's the word? Here, lots of pressure, but he got it right. Way to go, buddy. Give him a hand. He's so brave coming up here. Oh, this is a pattern we're learning this week, so this one I hope you get right.
Chirp.
Chirp. Nice job. You rock. Okay.
Make.
And he got it right again. Good at this.
Look.
Look, he got that one right.
Luck.
And luck. Nice job. Give him a hand. He's awesome. So, at this point, you can stay up here. At this point, what you'd want to do is you have some that landed face down. So you would say, now I'm going to flip over and read the words that read the words you didn't get to read. So either your child can read them if they're up for it and they're feeling really motivated, or you can read the rest of the words to your child. Do you want to give the rest a shot? Oh, you're so brave. He's right again. Out. Nice job. He got that one.
Can.
Good.
Skate.
Sky.
Sky.
Let's give him a hand. He was awesome. Now, if your child would make a mistake, you could say, repeat the word after me. Now, you know your child best, so you can give them hints and tricks to try to sound out the word if you think they're ready. Or for Logan, I knew he is a kid. He's going to keep trying once I give him some hints. But if your child doesn't, you can say, this word is sky. What's the word? And then your child can answer. Oh, there's one left in there? Pull it out and read it. Now what you would want to do, what's that last one?
2.
2, you just don't want to stop. You love this game, don't you? Okay, nice job. You can put those back in the bag. At that point, after your child is all warmed up and they've read some of the words from the article, you would have your child read the text that the words came from. So you would have your child read, if he's a first grader or she's a first grader, the Lucky Clover article, which the words came from. So that's something you can do when you go back to your seat. Thank you so much. You were awesome. Okay, Taylin has her words set up over here, and I think she's going to speed read through them because she can read really, really quickly. Are you ready? Okay, she's going to read hers.
Playful, youngster, reasons, pose, jumping, open, closer, every, mammals, invite.
She got every single one correct. Way to go. So after Taylin, all of hers landed face up. So she read through all the words. Now she's ready to read the article. And the article, Taylin, that you would read would be called Animals at Play, and that's on page 8 and 9 if you would want to read that. Thank you so much for your help. Give them a round of applause. They are so brave. They are so brave. Okay, so are there any questions about the shake, spill, and say lesson? Okay, we're going to move on. Again, if your child has difficulty with this, reading the words, you might model the correct word and ask your child to just repeat after you. If they really have difficulty reading the words, it's time to knock it down a level and maybe choose some words that are a little easier for your child to read. And that's okay, because every child is reading at a different level and need different skills at this point to become a skilled reader. The next lesson is called echo reading. And echo reading is just as it sounds. You're going to read and your child will echo you. And then your child will read and you will echo your child, okay? The articles that I chose, again, for this, I just continued with the Lucky Clover article in Ranger Rick Jr. That's on page 30. And in the Ranger Rick, it is, the Animals at Play on page 8 and 9. I promise we'll get to other articles too as we go through the lessons. The goal for this particular lesson is that your child will increase reading fluency. That means the rate and accuracy your child reads, and accuracy of the reading, which means the correctness that they're reading the words. The materials that you would want to find for this, you can choose an article from Ranger Rick, is a paragraph at your child's instructional reading level, which again, if they read the first 10 words, and they can read about 9 out of those 10, you're pretty safe to say this would be a perfect article, book, story for your child to read. Remember, you can do this with any piece of text you have. It doesn't just have to be with the Ranger Rick magazines. So for echo reading, you are going to say to your child, I'm going to read a sentence, then I want you to read the same sentence. We're going to read the entire paragraph that way. Miss Kish is going to help me out. I need a first and second or third. Great. So Krista, come on up. Krista's in first grade, so Krista, you're going to look in the Ranger Rick Jr., and I want you to turn to page 30, which is the Lucky Clover article, and help me with your name. Viviana is going to help me out too. What grade are we in, Viviana? She's in 3rd grade. Viviana is going to turn to the Animals at Play article, pages 8 and 9. Okay, you got it. Yep, there it is. So with this particular activity, as you model it, you're going to say, I'm going to read a sentence, then I want you to read the same sentence. We're going to read the entire paragraph this way. So we're just going to read the first 2 lines here, okay? You're going to help me out. I'm so glad spring is finally starting, said Ricky Raccoon.
I'm so excited, glad that spring is here. Finally here. Starting, said Ricky Raccoon.
Give her a hand. She's so brave. Now, remind me of your name one more time. Krista. Okay, she was quizzing me up here. She said it starts with a C. I was starting to sweat. All right, so, Krista, some of these words are really, really tricky for a 1st grader, aren't they? Yeah. That's why sometimes it's hard. If you choose a text that has multi-syllable words like that, you're going to have to give your child a lot of help if you're doing echo reading like this. I might choose to back off a little bit, and instead of doing a whole sentence, I might break it in half. So we're going to try it again, okay? All right, are you ready? All right, pay close attention. You can read the words as I'm saying them. I'm so glad spring is finally starting, said Ricky Raccoon. Me too, said Busy Beaver.
Me too, said Busy Beaver.
I'm really tired of winter. What an appropriate article for this time of year. Okay, so Krista, that was excellent. You did a nice job. So see, I kind of just backed off a little bit, gave her an opportunity to read a little bit of shorter lines there, and you did an excellent job with that. So at this point, after your child has echoed you, now you would echo them. Okay, so we're going to try this with Viviana, right? We're going to try this with Viviana, the 2nd step, which is the practice it step. Viviana, you will read the first sentence of your paragraph, and then I'm going to read after you each time. Now, you're going to see if Viviana makes a couple mistakes here and there, that I'm going to make sure when I read it, I'm going to correct those mistakes. Okay, Viviana, are you ready? Okay.
Every day all over the world, kids like you are running, jumping, chasing, hiding, seeking, swinging, tussling, and sliding.
Okay, so she read that perfectly, and I would go through and I would want to make sure I read that back to Viviana nice and fluently. So I would read, you can stay up here if you want. I would read, every day, all over the world, kids like you are running, jumping, chasing, hiding, seeking, swinging, tussling, sliding. And you know what? Animals everywhere, and so on and so forth. So you would take turns with your child, reading sentence by sentence, and making sure as your child reads fluently, you also read fluently. Can you please give them a round of applause? That was excellent. Thank you, ladies. And you can check out the articles when you go back and maybe try this at home, okay? Very nice job. So again, if you saw, again, that article that I chose was really tricky for a 1st grader. So if your child has difficulty with this activity, you might model, again, asking your child to repeat after you, word by word or phrase by phrase, if need be, okay? Are there any questions about echo reading? We're gonna move on to some vocabulary. We've talked about some word reading fluency. We've talked through reading at the fluency at the text level. Now we're going to do some vocabulary development. And for the vocabulary development, I've only chosen to model it with a 2nd or 3rd grader, only because with this particular activity, there's a lot of writing involved, and I didn't think it was necessarily appropriate of an activity with a first grader. I thought it'd be maybe a little too challenging, and with first grade, yes, we're working on vocabulary, but we're working a lot more on just that word reading fluency and text reading fluency. Ms. Kish, can you help me choose a second or third grade? Oh, actually, you know what? I'm going to choose someone. Kira, can you come up here, please? Kira's in third grade, and Kira, this is going to be this is a little tricky. So, are you ready? Okay. So, for this particular activity, it's called Making Words My Own. The article that I chose is called The Missing Links, and that is on page 17 through 21. So turn to page 17 for me, please. We're going to focus just on page 17. We're not going to go all the way through the article. For this particular text, again, you would want to find text at your child's instructional reading level because eventually they are going to be reading this text out loud to you or reading it maybe even independently. You're also going to choose a word from the text that you would like your child to understand. Sometimes choosing vocabulary can be tough because with that, you would want to choose a word that you think your child may not know, but your child probably should know in the future, or a word they will use. You don't want to choose a word that is so unusual and so rare that your child may never hear the word again until he or she is 35 years old. Okay? You would want them to choose, you want to choose something that they can eventually understand and they can use. So the word that I chose from this particular article is the word habitat. Who in here knows what a habitat is? Kids, raise your hand. Oh my gosh, you're so smart. Do you know what one is? Oh good, this is going to be really easy for you then. Okay, so if you know your child knows that particular word, you might choose a different one that they don't know that you want to teach to them. So with this particular lesson, on the back of your lesson, I think I did copy these double-sided, so it should be right on the back. You will need a beyond the definition word boxes, beyond the definition. And you don't have to do 5 or 10 of these. Just one with every article you read, or even once a week, is really helpful just to continue to expose your child to new and unusual words that they eventually will use or should understand. Again, I chose the word habitat from this particular article, and it's about halfway through page 17, if you can find it. Do you see it? There it is. Okay, so you would say to your child, you would, again, first model it and then practice it, but with a model it, you're going to say, I'm going to tell you what a new word means. Then you are going to use the word boxes to help you remember the new word. After that, we are going to read a text aloud where you will see the new word. So after the model it, you're going to go to the practice it, and you're going to say to your child, the new word is, notice the blank there, the new word is habitat. The sentence to remember the word is. Now, here's where you have to be creative. Not even creative, but I would have a student-friendly or a child-friendly definition at the ready. Don't necessarily go to your dictionary. A synonym's always really nice when teaching your child a new word or a word that means the same thing. But I found a specific definition on Merriam-Webster.com. It's m-w.com. It's great. You can find synonyms, antonyms, anything you need to teach your child a new word. So I like to always embed the word in a sentence that has the meaning in there. Okay? So for instance, I would say, look at the first box, which is the what is it? Define it. A habitat is a place where a plant or animal lives. What is a habitat?
Habitat is a place where a plant or animal lives.
Okay, excellent job. So after your child repeats it after you, I would have them write the sentence in the what is it box and underline the target word. Okay, so everyone sees that first box. Good to go. Now you're going to write as many words as you can that connect to the new word in the words that connect box. The words that connect box is right next door. What words do you think of when you think of habitat? I'm not going to show you mine. I'm going to see if you can come up with maybe one on your own.
Nest.
Oh, a nest can be a habitat. What would a nest be a habitat for?
Birds.
A bird, nice job. So can you think of something that you learned in a story that might relate to habitat? It starts with an S. You have to know when you read a book or a story. You know what? That's not what I was looking for, but you can go ahead and share that one. That's like a $20 word right there. What is that?
Sanctuary.
Yeah, someone's habitat could be a sanctuary. That was excellent. Wow, you know big words. Way to go. The word I was looking for Kira to come up with was setting. A setting kind of relates to a habitat, right? Some of the other words that your child might come up with for this, and Kira came up with some really great ones. Environment, setting, home, territory, niche, surroundings, neighborhood. Any words that relate to habitat would be perfect, and she did a great job with that. So the next thing you would have your child do is the picture box, and your child is going to draw a picture. I don't even want to show you what I drew. I'm not an artist. There's a stick figure with a house. Take a look. Not an artist. So your child is going to draw what they picture when they think of habitat and come up with their own sentence. Would you like to try to make up your own sentence, or do you just want to read the one that I have written down? Okay, I hear you. Go ahead.
My habitat is my home, but a cheetah's habitat is the wild.
Okay, nice job with that. So the next thing that your child would do is their plan to remember. So they want to plan to remember how they will connect to this particular word. So you would say to your child, write some ways that you plan to remember this word. In my plan to remember box. So do you want to come up with a way that you remember, or do you just want to read what I wrote down? I understand.
I will remember this because at the zoo I learned that African elephants' habitats are the savanna or the forest.
Okay, nice job. So your child would connect specifically, personally to that word to help them remember what the word habitat is. Are you going to remember if I quiz you tomorrow on habitat, what it is? I thought so. Good job. Please give her a round of applause. She is so great for coming up here and helping you out. Thanks, Kira. So, do you have, and now if your child has difficulty with any of the boxes, model some possible responses and ask your child to try some on his or her own. Are there any questions about the beyond the definition word boxes or making words my own? Okay, so last but not least, there is a comprehension lesson, and comprehension is simply understanding the text that a child is reading. There's a comprehension lesson, and there is you should have cardstock that looks like this, but it's in the center of your page, and you would need to cut it out. Should have that somewhere. Yep, Kira, come here. You're gonna model again. Okay, show them what they should have. There it is. Mine's cut out already and ready to go. These are lots of fun to put together. They only take maybe 2 to 20 minutes, depending on how good your fingers work. Nice job. Thank you. So you need right now the Think and Share lesson and the cube, which is on your paper, and this is something that you can construct later. Now they're really not as tricky as they look once you cut them out. What I did for this particular lesson is once I cut this out, I made sure I folded along all the lines first to get it nice and easy to move around. And this cross actually does become a cube, I swear it. You can do it. For this, it was pretty easy. Again, once you have everything bent and ready to go, can you give me a hand, Joyce, and hold the mic, please? I can do it, but I can't do it with one hand. Okay, so for this, I would fold in the cross piece first, just like this. Fold that inward, okay? This is so tricky. And then I would fold the top piece into those. Now you need tape.
This is a little bit tricky to do the boxes. You almost need 2 sets of hands. So if your child can help you, the trick is to fold all the corners in first, all the tabs in, and whenever you have a good crease on all the lines, then it should go together rather smoothly.
Thank you, Mrs. Kish. So now we have a partial box happening here. I just folded the 2 tabs inward and I taped the insides. And you can cheat and take the outsides if you want to. It doesn't really matter. Either way works. Just as long as you're using clear tape and not like duct tape and you get so frustrated suddenly. It's just a big ball of duct tape. Okay, so get the insides, and then now we have a semi-box here. There's 2 other tabs that you can fold inward and go ahead and put the box together. We're almost done. And I'm just going to take the outside this time to keep things a little simple for me. And I can see through this tape, so it's good. And then finally, it's almost done. I have one more thing to fold over. I would fold it over so the tab doesn't cover the rest of the box, but if you want to, it really doesn't matter. It's not going to cover any of the words. Fold that last one over and just go ahead and tape on the outside, or if you're using tape that you can't see through, just fold that tape in there and voila, you have a cube. It's kind of coming apart. I'd use some more tape. Have your child help with this. It'll be a fun activity that will take maybe an hour. And they'll be nice and quiet as they do it, I promise. Because they're going to need to concentrate. Okay, so now you've got your cube. Just make sure all the words are on the outside when you do this. So then this way, when your child's playing with the cube, they roll the cube, it lands, and then they're going to answer a question about what they read. So if you're modeling this, again, you want to text at your child's instructional level. This is fun because you really don't have to plan anything in advance here, except for, hey, have something for your child to read. Get your cube out and play a little game with it. So you need a text and you need your comprehension cube. So when you model, you're going to say, you are going to read the text. After you read, you are going to roll a question from the cube to answer. During the practice it, you're going to say to your child, read the text and I will help you with any parts that are tricky. So they read the whole text or even just a paragraph, depending on, your child's ability to stay focused for a whole article or a whole book. You might want to break it up a little bit. You know your child best. Now I want you to roll the cube, so your child will roll. Jake, come here. You're gonna help me with this. I didn't have you read an article, so I'm not gonna ask you questions because that would be really, really hard if I asked you questions about an article you didn't read. But you're gonna roll the cube for me. Now let's pretend you read the article. Jake, roll the cube. Nice job. Now. I will read, now, depending on your child, you can read the question to them. I would do this if it's a first grade child, or you can have the child read the question. And I know Jake is a good reader, so I'm going to have him read the question that is on the cube that landed face up. Are you ready? Okay, go for it.
Restate the story in your own words.
So he just read the question, or I should say the directive, to restate the story in your own words. And you're obviously expecting your child to restate and tell you about the story in their own words. And you would be able to do that if you read the article, but you didn't, so I'm not going to have you do that. And then you would give your child some time to think about it. Give them 10 seconds, give them 20 seconds, give them 30 seconds if they need it. Allow them to look back at the article if they're getting confused or they need a little bit more time or they're not quite sure what to say, right? Because you can always look back at the article if you need to, and that's a good thing. We want you to do that. So some of the other questions on here, can you help me by reading the other questions that are on here? Okay, thank you.
How does this story connect to your life, other story, the world?
So we want kids to make connections to text, not only to themselves in the text or from a text to text, We also want them to make connections between the text and the world around them and make those relationships. So that's what you would want them to do there. Okay, read the next one for us.
What questions did you have after reading?
At this point, you would want your child to come up with their own questions about what they read after they have read it.
What did you wonder about as you read the story?
So what did you wonder about when you read the story? Again, that's kind of close to what questions do you have, but what are you wondering as you're reading? This is really active reading after they have read. Let's see, do we have another one?
What do you think is the most interesting fact is from the story?
Okay, so this particular item would be really good if you are reading an article that is a nonfiction piece of text, like an article from Ranger Rick, because there are going to be facts in there, and your child would be able to draw upon those. I'm trying to see, did I miss one? Is anyone checking on me? Oh, I found one.
Share a sentence from the story that tells what the text is about.
Okay, so this will be in particular finding that main idea from the article that your child read. Okay, so they're going to actually look back at the text and find a sentence that is the main idea and tells what the story's about. Did I miss any, Jake? I think we got them all. No, I think we got them all. What do you think? We got that one. Okay. Can you give him a round of applause? He is awesome. So you all have this. Good luck putting it together. If you can't quite get it together, Mrs. Kish has volunteered to have your child bring them back and fold them up and make, I'm just kidding, Mrs. Kish. Before I'm done, are there any questions about the Think and Share activity? I hope that you can find these useful as you start to get these Ranger Rick magazines at home. These should, I hope, be activities that you can do for 5-10 minutes, every couple nights, every night if you have the time would be great. Just to, again, support in helping your child become a skilled and grade level reader. So thank you very much. I'm going to pass to Mrs. Kish, who has some other great activities to share with you tonight.
I just want to say you guys are sitting so nicely and quietly. This is a long time for you to sit after you eat, so I really appreciate that. I'm going to try to go really fast so we can get you out of here. There are some other activities in your packet that do not have to do with Ranger Rick. You will be receiving a Ranger Rick in March, April, May, and June. We were fortunate enough with Title I this year. That's how we're spending our training money, and so we're going to have Ranger Ricks being sent home. So you'll see them, we're going to use them in the classroom, and then you'll see them at home, and you'll have some activities to do with them. Let me just draw your attention to a couple other things in your packet. The first thing I'm going to show you is the Fact and Opinion football game. You should have 2 football goalposts. We try to put 2 goalposts in every packet, and you also have some Fact and Opinion cards. Obviously, first grade cannot read these cards, but you can read them to them. I think first grade does know what a fact and what an opinion is. Do you know what a fact and opinion is, Liberty? No? A fact is something that is true that you can prove. An opinion is something that you think, and it's your opinion, and nobody can tell you it's wrong. So, Jason, why don't you and Corey come up, and you can play a fact and opinion game real quick for me. I'm going to put the 2 goalposts. Jason gets 1 goalpost. Corey gets another goalpost. You can have one, your child can have one. Jason's going to read Corey a card, and Corey has to say fact or opinion. If he's right, Corey gets a goal. If he's wrong, Jason gets the goal.
Hamburgers are better than hot dogs.
Okay, Corey, think about that. Hamburgers are better than hot dogs. Is that a fact, something you can prove, or an opinion, something that you just think?
An opinion.
Okay, who thinks he's right? Raise your hand. Good job, Corey. You are right, so you get a point. So you get a goal. And now we'll read one for Jason.
Cats are the best pets.
Okay, Jason, think about that. Is that a fact, something you can prove, or an opinion, something that you think?
An opinion.
Who agrees with Jason that that's an opinion? That's right. Okay, so let's give them a round of applause. And you guys can sit down. We're not going to play the whole game, but that's how you play a fact and opinion football game. There's also a pink packet for most of you. It's pink. Sometimes we ran out of colored paper. In your packet, there's one called Rabbit Race. And Rabbit Race is a context clue game. This is something also for first grade you could read to them, or second and third grade, they should be able to read it. There's a game board, and there are cards that you cut out. And the object of the game is to roll the dice, and wherever you land, I took from the Yahtzee game when I ran home after school, a dice and some markers. You can use any kind of markers from Candyland or whatever you have. You roll the dice, and you move to the space. I rolled let's see, I'll have some. Liberty, why don't you come up? You can roll the dice for me. Liberty rolled a 2. So she's on a space that says school, run, and hungry. Here's your sentence.
Is this blank food?
Is this blank food? Is this school food? Is this run food? Or is this hungry food? Which one would make sense? What did you eat tonight for dinner?
Food. School food.
All right, and that is the word that makes sense in the sentence. Liberty, that's a great job, and Liberty would stay there since she got that right. So context clues are what we use, especially in second and third grade, to see if they understand what words mean. It's a really good comprehension strategy. Let's give Liberty a round of applause. There's one more game I'm going to demonstrate with you. In the Rabbit Race packet that's stapled, there's also a sentence pantomime game. There's two sets of cards. It's played like charades, where the child will read a sentence and they'll act it out, and we have to guess what they're acting out. This is a little bit different than charades in the fact that we're just going to lay the cards out, and I'm not going to lay all the cards out. I'm just going to lay a few of them out. We're going to have someone who likes to act come up and demonstrate a pantomime, and we're going to have to guess what they're doing. Okay, Brianna, come on up. And Emily, come on up. Okay, I'm just going to put some of these cards out. Blow some bubbles, pet a cat, jump 2 times, hold a baby. Okay, so Brianna, read the sentences. Think of the one you want to act out, and we're going to act it out. And everybody can try to guess what it is, okay? Blow some bubbles, pet a cat, jump 2 times, hold a baby. Are you ready? Okay, turn around and act something out. Okay, is she blowing bubbles, petting a cat, jumping 2 times, or holding a baby? What are you thinking, Emily?
Petting a cat.
Is that what you were doing?
Yes.
All right, good job. So you guessed the pantomime. Now, Emily, you pick one to do. Hold a baby, jump 2 times, pet a cat, blow some bubbles. Oh, Brianna, this isn't too hard. What's she doing?
Blow some bubbles.
That's right, blowing some bubbles. Very good. Let's give them a round of applause. All right, you girls can sit down. Thank you. We are not going to do all the pantomimes. You can do that yourself. If you run out of pantomimes, you can write some cards yourself and have your children pick one out, read the words, and act it out. It's really important that they read it because this is a reading activity. Okay, you also have in your packet a Parenting Corner magazine, and I'm not going to talk a lot about this. I just want to mention a couple things. On page 6, there's an article about homework wars. How many boys and girls ever give your parents trouble when it's time for homework and you have homework wars at home? Okay, so there are some good suggestions in here that you won't have any more homework wars. And also on page 10, there's common questions and answers about homework. I just found those 2 particularly informative, but there are lots of other articles in here that are informative for you. You're also going to get, that Mrs. Lenz is going to pass out right now, and boys and girls, you've probably seen these from school. You're going to get some cards. So if you're in first grade, raise your hand. And you're going to get a package of about 40 cards. There is a selection of comprehension cards, and they are going to be main idea, reading for details, and sequence. Let me tell you the trick, parents, about these. Don't let them look at the back of the card. Just let them look at the front let them read the card, and let them tell you the answer, which is on the back, and they probably know that because they've played lots of cards like this in school. This is something good you can take in the car. You can take, while they're waiting for the bus, you can take one card to read. Just any time of the day that you have a couple extra minutes, it's really good to practice some comprehension clues. Now, if you're in 2nd or 3rd grade, raise your hand. We have a package for you too. And you're going to get figurative language, drawing conclusions, reading between the lines, and main idea. So you're going to have a variety of comprehension activities as well. These are easy to use, fun in the car. You can read one before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, when you have some free time. So you can keep these cards and you can use them with your children. Okay, we kind of went quickly through some activities. Are there any questions that you have? Well, I have to say, you were the best audience. I can't believe you sat so quietly and still, and your hand's raised, but we'll get you cards. Let's see, who else needs a card? Haley needs one. Do we run out? You know what? We'll take your names and we'll give you your cards tomorrow, okay? So why don't you go to Mrs. Lenz, she'll write your name down over there if you did not get a packet and if you're in 2nd and 3rd grade, okay? All right. We are so happy that you came. We thank you for coming, and we hope you enjoy the activities. Thank you very much.